the penalty for failing to use the devices, and what other equipment do you hope to gain? Mr. Wheelwright?
As far as officers having body cameras, our full-time guys do have body cameras issued to them. Every patrol car does have an in-car camera. Officers are required to, anytime they come in contact with public, to make sure their body camera's on. Officers fail to have that body camera on, they will be written up. There's a process that goes through with being written up before suspension and demotions and all that stuff. So there is a process that goes through.
And as far as the other equipment that you may hope to get in the future, is there any plans to get other equipment in the future?
Yes, we are looking to upgrade our weapons for officers, also upgrade our cars and everything too. Yes, there is plans to continue to improve our equipment.
Thank you. Mr. Ledet, same question. Do I need to repeat that question?
As a current chief has already, he told you the rules and regulations to the body cam, but as far as equipment or whatever, upgrade, we'd also need new vehicles, upgrade on the vest and things like that, the body on protective armor and weapons. Always, sir.
Sorry, we have some cell phones going off. Go ahead, Mr. Ledet.
Protective gear and just whatever it takes for us to train to get to the next level, more equipment for training as well.
Thank you. Now, this next question is going to be for the council. I'm going to start with Ms. Betty. With the increase of traffic through our neighborhoods in the mornings, the safety of our students are at risk. Many neighborhoods do not have sidewalks. Therefore, the students living within 1 mile of their school, they have to walk or ride their bikes in the street to get to and from school. We know this isn't safe. So are there any plans or are there plans for sidewalks around the city, especially around the high school traffic areas or the high traffic areas and the 1 mile of the schools in the area?
Right now, we do not have plans for sidewalks around the high school, but that can be done in the future. We take our children, I'm so sorry, I'm losing my voice. We take our children very much at our love and our hope to their safety. We look into all of this, with all these things that are going on around our children today, and we try to protect them in every way we can.
Thank you. Ms. Shirley, do I need to read the question again?
No.
Go ahead.
What I want to bring to the council is to work on DOTD grants, which will help to build more sidewalks and also replenish the sidewalks that we have, because there are some sidewalks for our children, but they are in need of repair. When it's raining, they are muddy or puddles, and they can't actively use those. So I would work hard with DOTD to find some grant funding to help us with that, so that we can take the strain off the budget a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one is for the police chief. Okay, and I'm going to start with Mr. Ledet on this question. What, if any, communication does the police department have with the schools, the high school in particular, relating to possible threats posed by students? The second part of that, are there any measures that are in place to identify possible threatening students?
I'm sure there are measures that are in place. I'm unaware of those measures at the moment. I mean, I know we do talk to Mr. Van Meter or whatnot, but I don't know the exact. But I would like to be more implemented into the school and trained in the school, so we'll be able to be more fluent when that time comes, if it comes, and be more proactive instead of reactive to any situation that comes up. Thank you.
Mr. Wheelwright, do I need to repeat that question?
Yes, sir. We do have a communication with the high school. We stay in contact with them all the times. If I'm not mistaken, year before last, we actually did some training inside the high school to prepare for in case of an active shooter. We did drills inside the hallways, inside the classrooms. It was a 2-day training that we had come in. Some guys from Kansas City came in and did training with our guys. We actively have training in place every month with our guys. We also have another big training day with this same group of individuals, and I think next weekend we're going to hit another school. So we are very active in our schools and very want to make sure our students get home safe to their families.
And this next question is for the council members. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Leader. While most citizens obey laws, ordinances, and basically live by the golden rule of do unto others, some citizens aren't so accommodating. What are some ways you'd like to improve on city ordinances or the enforcing of them?
Well, I think that if the council is really active out in our cities and seeing certain ordinances like beautification, where you're having piling up of cars and things like that, if we're more active where we're patrolling and watching those things, we can be proactive in just pushing those ordinances more. I also think we need to go over some of them, which I see the council doing that, but we were in the variance board meeting not too long ago, and there was an ordinance that came up about having a trailer on the north side of Garden, but they can have the trailers on the south side of Garden. And there are trailers all over, but we went with the ordinance, and I think the ordinance needs to be reevaluated and, push to change some of these ordinances that were, back in the day, anything like that. So just reevaluating, looking and making sure that we're proactive in enforcing them and patrolling the streets.
Thank you. Ms. Betty?
Our ordinances are open to anybody that wants to take a look at them. We enforce them the best way we can through the police department and through Terry, which is the, works with the city as far as taking care of the cars that are, letting their houses unusable and with no license plate. All that is being taken care of. It is done with the ordinances and with the city police and with the city council. We have an ordinance right now with dogs barking, and that has been taken care of very easily with the chief of police. I've called him and he's taking care of it. Our ordinances need to be looked at and maybe gone over, but we try to do the best we can, and city council is in charge of all the ordinances. It knows that you want to see any of the ordinances, it is available to all the public at any time.
Thank you. Okay, this one is for Mr. Wheelwright. Does the Westlake Police Department train specifically in de-escalation? And can you give an example of when it was successfully implemented?
We've sent officers to CIT training. Once this training is held through McNeese, through Calhoun Parish Sheriff's Office, I want to say last year we've had officers go to this training. So once this training is available, if any of my officers not certified, we just send them to CIT training.
So with that,
Question answered.
thank you. Next one's for the council. And I'm gonna start with Betty on this one. There are areas of Westlake that in years past never had flooding issues, but now they do. What are the plans for addressing those flooding and drainage problems, including any new problems caused by new development?
We are working on it right now. Right now, Mulberry is being taken care of, and we've started working on that, and we've been addressing this in the last year or so. We've had a few floodings, and we're taking care of those issues.
Is your leader?
Well, since I'm not on the council, I would go in and go to my council members and to the mayor and just sit down and see where they are at with that and just offer my suggestions and go with what's going on.
With that, this question is we'll start with you. The Westlake Police Department oversees the DARE program in our schools. What other youth outreach programs would you like to see implemented for our children and youth to help them face societal challenges? What sources of funding do you or could you draw from your program?
Roman isn't in charge of that at the moment, so that would be something we need to get back, because the sheriff department has it. I think it's something as far as the grant is concerned with their itself, that's what they wanted to use one agency to do it, but we have to go and talk to them, so we can get our officers back in the school, so we can have that community orientation, that relationship again. But to carry on to the next level of question, I would just love to have officers that are present, just to come in and, do something at least quarterly or every 3 months or so, to go in and talk to those students and, just visit gun safety and just different things that we can do. And of course, we have mentoring programs, and the officers are always, patrolling the streets. We just need to just do a little bit more, shaking a few more hands and stopping and talking a little bit.
And just to clarify, what Mr. Leggett said is correct. It's the sheriff's department that is in charge of the DARE program. So Mr. Wheeler, I'm gonna ask you to answer that question, but not the DARE part of it, because it doesn't pertain to Westlake at this time, but I know what y'all trying to do.
Well, we definitely want to stay active in the community with different programs. Just to touch base on that there, that was taken way before I was back in office. But we would like to get there back into Westlake Police Department. That's a good foundation. It's a good starting point to build a relationship with the kids, so we do want to get that back. Other activities, officers are constantly going into the schools, walking the schools, seeing the kids out there. I think last year, the school board started a luncheon with law enforcement program. We've had officers this year going and having lunch with the students over there. So being present inside the school just makes the kids at ease, so they can see an officer, hey, officer so-and-so, or they take pictures. So it's a good way to build relationships by having officers in the school.
Thank you. His next question, we're going to start with Mr. Amina. Westlake is making way for the addition of many new residents. Creating a family-friendly environment to attract and retain new residents may become a key issue. While activities at the rec and golfing is available to citizens, what other ongoing family offerings can you cite are available in Westlake, and do you have plans for more in the future?
Yes, my background is in program development, so we could bring so many things. We actually can partner with our parish with the CD block grant, which brings in different programs. Life skill programs where our children learn how to interview, our children learn how to write checks, just basic life skills. Also, we need something to provide movie nights for our children, for our families, maybe some karaoke at some of our local restaurants. Just fun activities where we don't have to go across the bridge to just have fun. We want to keep ourselves in a good budget as far as family goes. Our men work most of the time. The women are at home a lot of the time. So why not find some budget-friendly things to bring to Westlake as far as movie nights, karaoke nights, also just character drawings, teaching them how to draw. It's so many things out there that we can bring. It's just about being active and going out and finding it, and that's what I'll do.
Thank you. Ms. Betty?
We have a plan with the city right now that we have our teenagers, or seniors at Westlake High School, which are members of city council. We have them coming to help us with our meetings and council meetings. We also have very, very good recreation center. There is nothing better than this recreation center. We do things for our children all the time. We're teaching them many things. We have the recreation basketball, we have softball, we have football. All of these things are being taken care of with the recreation center. There is none better than Westlake Recreation Center. I, myself, support them completely.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start this one, Mr. Ledet. Louisiana has curfew laws for youth under 17 set at 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Monday through Friday, and 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. on weekends. Residents have witnessed youth out past the curfews, sometimes causing issues. What is being done to monitor and enforce the curfews?
Well, Well, we've had multiple nights where we have bicycles, he's retrieved from out of the tree. We've had moments where we take those bikes and officers ride those bikes through the neighborhood, and we kind of blend in with what's going on to police that up. I mean, it's kind of tough to address that. I mean, you gotta kind of catch them in the act. They're not gonna be on the foot. These teenagers are driving these days, so it's kind of hard to mingle with them, but the officers are doing pretty good by staying on top of the curfew. I mean, like I said, we kind of blend in with them with the bikes and when we use them, and, you know, staying active in patrol and putting miles on the cars, that's the only way we can address it.
Thank you. Mr. Wilrod?
For the officers, I mean, it's like you said, it's hard to catch them in the act without being out there patrolling and being active. The guys are patrolling, the officers are. A lot of guys are within the neighborhoods, they turn the lights off on patrol. Being visible and being seen out there, that's how you foil crimes, that's how you catch these juveniles. A lot of times we may get calls in reference to kids being out, or if we don't get calls, it gets posted on social media. We don't monitor social media 24 hours a day, so if something goes on and it's posted on social media, it needs to be called to the police department so we'll know how to handle it. For the most part, they do call, but we've gotten a lot of complaints on social media, or kids are here, kids are there, and the police ain't doing that. Well, have you called the police department? Well, no. Well, we can't do nothing if we're not notified. Granted, so the guys are out there patrolling, but with 2 officers working the shift, it's hard to be everywhere down every street. So the public, we would ask the public just to call the office and give us a heads up when they see something.
Thank you. Ms. Betty, if any of the homes built on the golf course are outside of the city limits, will the city consider annexation?
We are not considering any annexation right now. The homes that are being built at the golf course right now, where all of the infrastructure is done by the builders themselves. We're going to have all of the streets, all of the gas, all of the sewage, all of that's being taken care of by them. They have bought this property, the 300 homes that are being built, and maybe 240 later on the second phase. But these contractors are building all the streets. There is nothing that we are having to pay for. We will, at the end of this, we will be well ahead of all of this.
Thank you. Ms. Rito?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am. If any of the homes built on the golf course are outside of the city limits, will the city consider annexation?
Well, with that question, I would have to be in the council to be able to talk with my constituents and the mayor and get an understanding of if it could be or couldn't. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilrod, I'm going to start with you. For a brief time, the police department stationed units during peak traffic times at strategic places like on the I-10 service road to combat dangerous drivers and help monitor traffic flow. Officers seem to be less visible now. What more is being done about traffic control for plant worker traffic?
Our call volume has increased tremendously. Go back to with 2 officers working the shift. Usually when we having the peak traffic hours, that's when my guys are up on the interstate working and 2 and 3 car pile up. That's happened several times over the last few weeks. What we've done, we've added a new system on the interstate to help combat some drivers on the interstate. Now with the issues inside the city, officers at nighttime are staying over 3 or 4 hours to help combat the traffic in the inside the city. So we are making headway with trying to slow some of these drivers down throughout the city and out the residential areas.
Thank you. Mr. Ledet?
As you said, it's a true statement. You know, dealing with the call volume and trying to address traffic is an issue, but I would like to address it by, you know, we don't have the luxury of having as many officers as we need, but the way we utilize our part-time officers is pretty much as if someone goes on vacation or if someone does something. I'd like to have the part-time officers in during those hours to try to, you know, build up, and if the budget allows, of course, and we can put those guys inside the residential areas to try to regulate some of what's going on. As far as the light and the interstate, that combination and the train combined, there's not a whole lot you can do about that.
Thank you. Ms. Rio, this next question is for you. The Sassaw project will end resulting in scores of people moving away. If much of the housing that is being developed in Westlake is left vacant, is there a plan in place for all the homes and property?
Well, I don't know if there's a plan in place, because of course I'm working on getting into the city council, but I would hope that there is a plan in place, and the way I could possibly help with that would be to provide extra things in Westlake to be able to attract more people to come to Westlake. If we do that, then we can fill the homes, but we have to have something that they can do and not look at Westlake like, okay, I'm just living here. There has to be something for them to do. So that's how I would go about helping the homes that are vacant.
Thank you. Mrs. Bates?
We don't have that many homes that are going to be vacant. We have a lot of RV parks, a lot of places like that, and those will be vacated. But as far as the homes, we have nothing that we see that we're not going to have very many homes that are going to be vacated. But yes, we do need to entice people to stay here. But with the new homes coming in, the new additions that we've got coming in, this brings in new businesses. We will not have any businesses unless we have more people that are living in Westlake. Now, with the 300 homes and the 340 homes to be coming up, will bring us a larger amount of people living in Westlake. We will double the size of Westlake in the next year or so. All of this brings in an interest from other companies, from other businesses. Hopefully, we'll have some more, maybe another grocery store, maybe interest of a new drugstore. I mean, these things are being looked at, but only with the amount of people that are living here.
Thank you. This next question, we'll start with Mr. Ledet. Since we're talking about the size of Westlake and the fact that we do want it to grow, and the council and the police department work together, I think this is fitting. For a city the size of Westlake, what is the ideal number of police officers?
I believe that we should have no less than 3 as of right now. But if those, including the golf course and the new apartment complex coming up across from the park over there, we would have to have a minimum of 5 officers working. I mean, to be able to handle the call volume, the traffic, and to be able to appease Westlake and give them a sense of security to be able to handle each call.
Mr. Wheelwright?
Repeat your question one more time.
For a city the size of Westlake, what is the ideal number of officers?
The ideal number of officers, my goal is to at least have a minimum of 4 guys on shift. Now, to get these 4 guys on shift, we have to have revenues coming in to pay for them. How are we going to pay for these officers? Just a regular patrol officer salary, insurance and benefits, you're looking at probably about $65,000, $70,000 an officer. Where are we going to come up with that money without raising taxes, without raising any other revenues? So my plan is right now, we have 2 officers on motorcycles right now. We're looking to move both these motorcycle officers on a separate shift. These officers will encounter any traffic incidents that's going on, while you still have the 2 guys on patrol handling the shift, or handling calls, day-to-day calls. So the motorcycle officer is going to be responsible for mainly traffic violations and also traffic crashes, just to free the patrol guys up to be able to handle calls. So that's something we're working towards right now.
Thank you. Mrs. Bates, this is a long question, so I'm going to take my time and read through it. Concerning the property tax hikes that were levied on the city's homeowners, Mayor Hardy stated in a city council meeting that he plans to gradually lower those taxes as the golf course development grows successful. The reason for the hike was because the city of Westlake had been operating in the red for some time, and the council determined that changes had to be made. With that fact in mind, what percentage of relief can homeowners potentially receive? For example, taxes are gradually lowered back to the amounts just prior of the hike, which would be 100%.
We are planning on lowering the taxes within a year. We did this because we were running in the red. We had $830,000 that we were met with as we were sworn in. We had to do that, but we raised taxes, we raised them on ourselves also. It's not just people inside of the city limits, it's all of us. We were all taken care of by that. But we are going to go ahead and return all of this later to the people. And I think it's just 1%. I am not positive about it. I have to look into it.
Thank you. Mr. Reader, should I read this question again?
No. Well, I would go in with my council again and sit down and see where we were and what we can do to help the citizens. My focus would be, like I said earlier, to bring things to kind of help the pocketbook a little bit because of the situation we were in and we are still in with our property taxes. So that's my big deal, is to bring in extra funding through grants. And if we can do that, we can take the pressure off of getting police officers. We can take the pressure off of, just bringing programs. We can take the pressure off just by adding money and not looking for some entity or anything to give us money. We can bring our own money in. So that's how I feel about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wheelwright, we'll start with you on this question. This is one I'm sure that everyone sitting in here has dealt with at some point in time. But the I-210 bridge repairs will soon be upon us, causing the I-10 bridge to become the main thoroughfare. The repairs are estimated to take upwards of 2 years. But what is the police department doing to prepare for this major traffic upset?
Well, and that's where our motorcycles gonna come into effect. If incident happened on 210, it's gonna bottleneck I-10. If we get one wreck on I-10 bridge, it's gonna shut it down. Patrol cars cannot get on the bridge, so that's why we're looking to maintain motorcycles and get more motor officers out there to help out with this, with the influence of traffic on the interstate. Inside the city officers, we're looking for officers to stay over. We even talked about adjusting their coming on and going off shifts to help alleviate some of the traffic issues.
Thank you. Mr. Ledet?
Question answered by the manager.
There you go. Okay, Mr. Reed. If the new development on the golf course doesn't meet expectations of making it self-sustaining and bringing in a significant amount of new revenue, will selling it be on the table? If selling it is not an option, then what will be the next viable option?
And I only have a minute.
I'm flexible.
That's a good question, and that is a question that I have myself for the mayor and the council. So that would be hard for me to even answer right now. And, the questions are, for me, who would want to buy it? You just have so many questions, I do, in my mind, that I need to sit down and ask my own self. So, that's how I would go about it, is just to sit down and just sit with the council and just open it all up and see where their heads are and where the mayor is going forward.
Mrs. Bates?
Be thinking about it a minute. I know that we've talked about this before, that right now we are doing good with the golf course. We plan on doing better, especially after we have the new clubhouse. Having a new clubhouse will have more interest in people coming in and moving into the city to the area, and also giving more interest in the golf course itself, yes, we have talked about that if something happened, that we might be able to lease it off. Yes, there is a lot, there is interest in it already.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Ledet, we'll start with you on this question. There has been incidents where citizens felt that the police department had not taken their concerns and problems seriously, such as after a robbery or an attack. How do you propose to address this in the future within the police department and or the public?
I believe that the relationship after the call, I mean, the road officer can only do so much, and he can only be for them there so much, but the detective has to take the call after that, and the detective has to work it out. I believe that the detective has to have that relationship and maintain a great rapport with the people after their call, and after he talks to them the first time. Even if he's getting headway on the case or not, he should give them a call and say, hey man, we don't have anything yet, but we're working on it. Some type of communication from your detective would be plenty for a person who feels let down.
Thank you. Mr. Wilbur?
Yes.
I repeat it?
No. Communication is a valuable key into anything we do. Yes, my detectives do need to maintain a better communication, but also what we've implemented about 3 years ago is a victims advocate service. Victims advocate we have a lady that's housed in our department who's paid for by Family, Youth, and Council. It's no cost to us, it's a free service to any citizen who's a victim of any kind of crime or victim of crime. What she does, Miss Haley, she'll stay in contact with you, she'll help you through any situation. Recently, the last couple of days, we had an incident where a husband or boyfriend and girlfriend got into an incident where he threatened to kill her. Well, now Miss Haley has come in and got the lady set up with victim notifications when he gets out of jail. Also, get her set up to where she has a protective order and also a restraining order placed upon him. So, by adding this new situation or this new program to our department, goes along to help our detectives out. Right now, we have one detective. So he is overworked, but he's doing the best he can. Ms. Haley has stepped up to the plate to come take some of that load up off of him and reach out to our victims.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Sharmita, we'll start with you on this question. What is the possibility of running 4 lanes from Johnstown to Phillips with the traffic light at Phillips? Additionally, would there be plans for a light at the National Drive and Westwood?
One more time.
What is the possibility of running 4 lanes from Johnstown